The day that I fired a dozen employees. That's the title of this video. It was a great day. And right after I was done with it, I drove home. I live about 15 miles from the office at the time. I lived about, and got on the road, and I felt like a load had been lifted. I mean, I felt liberated. Now, I'm looking for dramatic titles, and that's one of them. The day I fired a dozen employees, I really don't think there were a dozen there, but I had a room full of employees there, and I just decided to mass fire them. Of course, I was going through some downsizing at the time, and here's the point. It was so easy to decide who goes first. You know, as an entrepreneur, and if you have people under your employ, we all have the list. And what is that list? It's the people that are expendable and the people who are not expendable. We have people that we're happy to get rid of. In this case, these are people that I was all very grateful to get rid of, except for maybe one or two. And I'll tell you where the exceptions lie. But for the most part, the people in that room, and that's why, you know, I guess it's a little disrespectful to throw a group of employees in a room and just fire them all at once. That is a little disrespectful, but believe me, these people needed to go. They were a dead weight on my company. And so many employees these days, and God love the good ones, man. The good ones, just God love them all. But so many employees these days, they want to do as little as possible and get paid the maximum amount of money. Then you have the other category of people. They'll do anything you ask them to do. And I mean, you know, within reason, of course. Anything you want them to do. But if you don't ask them to do anything, they won't do anything. They play on the internet all day long. God knows what they're doing all day long. But they don't give a damn. They absolutely don't give a damn. Doesn't bother them at all. You know, so if you have a bunch of stuff for them, they'll do it. But if you have nothing for them or you're not on them all the time, I mean, the last thing that they would ever do is come to you and say, hey, you know, I'm really need more stuff here. Now, granted, some of them are afraid to say that because then they're afraid, you know, they're afraid that your reaction is going to be, well, you know, I've been meaning to talk to you about that. You know, so they're afraid of losing their jobs. But come on, laziness and apathy and selfishness and immature thinking is the commonplace with employees these days. You know, their real life is things that they do off the job, and ultimately they're the ones that suffer from it because, you know, they're the ones that, look, back when I worked in the factories many, many years ago in construction jobs, people were always saying to me, slow down, TJ, slow down. You're making us look bad. Slow down. Well, I didn't want to slow down. I wanted to work my ass off because for one thing, I was just doing it because that made the time go by faster. The busier I stayed, the harder I worked, the faster time went on. You know, I was like everybody else. My life was outside the job, and yet I was always looking to do as much as I could and just get absorbed into the work so that the time would go by faster. So there wasn't any, I'm not trying to elevate myself necessarily, but I had that strong work ethic. And a lot of employees these days, they just don't have it. The day that I fired all of those employees, I mean, it was just so liberating. And I've had hundreds of employees. I say I, but my wife ran the company for the first 12 years. So with my wife, Eileen, and I, we've had hundreds of employees come and go. It's just amazing how many don't have a clue. They absolutely don't have a clue. They don't care. They're there to do the very minimum that they can do. If business gets slow, they don't look for other things to keep them busy. They see everything from the top down or the bottom up instead of the top down. Now that's employee mentality in general. So they get bogged down into details. They'll take 3 or 4 times longer to do something than if they understood it from a conceptual view. They complicate things. They're trying to do everything possible to protect their jobs. And I wish it wasn't just a lower level of employees that are guilty of that. I think in big corporations, this large group of people called middle managers, they spend most of their time playing office politics and trying to defend their turf. And, trying to game the system in many, many, many different ways. It's this sense of victim where they're victims or whatever, and they feel a sense of entitlement. I've had employees steal from me, lie to me, cheat me in many different ways, and ultimately their attitudes have just been like they're doing me a favor by showing up for work every day. They're doing me some big kind of favor. They suffer from the illusion that they make money for me, where really the truth is I make money for them, ultimately by providing that job for them. So many employees these days are just absolutely worthless. I didn't create it that way. This is not a judgment call. It's simply an observation. I'm sick and tired of it. I've had just as many as 50 of them working for me at one time, and it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. So my business was making millions of dollars, and I go over to my company, and there's all these people over there, but ultimately I was suffering. I was winning on one hand, bringing in a ton of money, but I was losing on the other hand. I'm done with all of that. I now am surrounded with a handful of my very best people who are battle tested. They've been with me for a long, long time. And that's, I'm looking for ways to make more money with less people. And that's where I'm going to spend the rest of my life. Just a very small staff, but still trying to make huge sums of money with outsourcing as much as possible and working with a very small staff of people and getting involved in opportunities where you don't need a whole lot of employees. So if you're a business owner right now and you're identifying with some of this, those are the kind of people I'm looking for. You're the kind of person I'm looking for. Reach out to me. I've got some great joint venture opportunities I'm involved with, things that can bring in a tremendous sum of money with little or even no employees. And if you're a good employee, God bless you. The handful I've got with me now are sacred to me. Hey, and some of my very best employees, look, a shout out to some of my very best employees if they ever watch this. Some of my very best employees are now my competitors. And I mean that most sincerely if they ever watch this video. Now, I contributed to their life. I taught them a lot, but then they contributed to my business too. And now they've moved on. Now they're competing with me, or they're in businesses of their own. But as for all the rest of them, so many employees nowadays, they just don't have a clue. Nobody ever taught them. Nobody ever taught them to take personal responsibility for themselves and to give all that they've had. They've never developed anything that even resembles a real work ethic, and they certainly don't know how to get along with other people. So they're causing all kinds of office politics and all kinds of drama every day, and just you go into your business and you spend half the time just babysitting people and putting out little brush fires where people can't get along and all that kind of. That is such a nightmare. I never want to go back there ever again. And if you're a business owner that's employing a bunch of people right now and you're sick and tired of it, then reach out to me. Let me show you some of the different joint venture deals that I'm doing, and we can make some money together. If nothing else, we can lament just a little bit, you and I. But the day that I fired all of those employees, one of the greatest days. Now, since that time, you have to start cutting deeper into your staff if you want to downsize. And those become very painful kinds of situations that involve severance pay and lots of things that you have to do to show tremendous amount of respect that those people deserve. But those people are few and far between. Most employees are not doing a good job. They really are not. Again, that's a sense of entitlement. It's an immature kind of thinking. It's a sense of victimization. The us against them, that immature, childish kind of behavior that they have, and they're really not giving it, I want to say they're not giving it all they've got, but they're not even giving a fraction of what they have, and they think they can get away with that. Ultimately, it comes back on them. You spend, if you work 40 hours a week, that's a majority of your time that you spend working, and you think you can just have this attitude where you're just sort of trying to game the system or do as little as possible, but that spills over on every other aspect of your life. So ultimately, there is selfish, self-centered reasons for you as an employee to work your ass off every day, because again, if you're just trying to do the very, very, very minimum to get by, that attitude will spill over into every other area of your life too, and that's not the secret of success. That won't bring you any kind of personal fulfillment or happiness. So, hey, I know I've rambled on. Some of this is a little complicated. Thanks for listening to me. I'm looking for good joint venture partners. If you're looking for a way to make money without having a large overhead, you can let all those employees go, just like I've let most all of mine go. Reach out to me at heytj.com. That's HEYTJ.com, or send me an email at tickets@heytj.com. And thanks for watching this video. I'll look forward to hearing from you. Bye for now.